So I could live with the tack not working.
Come out.
And I guess I could also live with the speedo not working, seeing how I could probably fix it at a later date. But the final straw for me is not knowing how much fuel's in the car, especially how I just rewired it with an American auto wire, and I can't tell if it's the sender or the gauge. So I just took out the dash cluster, and when I installed it last time, I just shoved it in so I can get the car down the road and test drive it, and it sucked. Anyways, I took it out. This housing isn't in the best shape. I kind of want to swap it out, but seeing how I'm in Europe, it costs a fortune to get it. So I head back to the States soon, so I might look for an aftermarket one of these. But yeah, so we're just going through the disassembly process because some of these we're gonna have to use. Like for example, this oil. You know what though? I don't know. Well, we got fuel. This definitely needs to get replaced. We got temp. The temp is connected. I don't know, man. We're gonna see how this. Actually, ooh, we do need this tack gauge because this tack gauge right here is broken, not working. Yeah, that's. We're gonna have to separate the rear of the cluster. Yeah, so this is gonna be fun. So we're taking off the backing of the cluster. This is in pretty rough shape. It's old. Whoever had it last just cut it, took poor care of it. So we're getting ready to separate it. See if we can separate it right now. Yeah, even though these are a little more analog than these Dakota digital versions, what we're gonna do is we're gonna completely strip the housing right here, and then we're gonna install these just to see how they are installed with the bracket, the housing, and whatnot. Got everything out of the housing. Now we're just gonna start plugging everything into this to make this into an entire unit. So this goes just like this. And now this is me before I opened anything telling me how to do this. I'm just gonna install this like how so that says speedo. So that goes over here. Tack goes over here, and we're just gonna install everything like that, and then I think we're gonna have to open up this and get some screws so that it screws down nice. Except my wife just called me and told me Formula One's on, so we're gonna have to take a break. Next time you see us, it'll probably be less light out. So let's start reading some instructions for the Dakota Digital VHX67FMUS Dakota Digital. So the kit includes the display, these right here, the hardware pack, which is this right here, the universal sender pack, which could be that right there, the switch assembly. This is the assembly switch control box. We got the blinker harness, which could be in here. The Cat 5 cable. I don't know why you would need that. Maybe it has you update stuff. Control box. This right here. Instructions, which you're reading. And then a Ford speed adapter, which you're able to get the speedo set to the digital code. Anyways, installation. Remove the stock gauges from the dash. Save the hardware. Remove the 9 screws holding the gauges to the bezel on the back of the system and the 2 screws that secure the wiper switch. Ooh, actually, you know what? So the wiper switch is still attached to the deal, but so we need to save those screws. A lot of the screws are missing as it is. These are literally the screws, these 4 that we have from the bezel to the back unit. Anyways, the wiper switch will be reused when the Dakota digital system is in place. So that sucks. I was hoping to get a new one then. Number 2, if you're using the existing bezel, remove the stock gauges, separator plates, and lenses from the bezel. Interesting. The only item to be reused is the original front bezel. This instrument system is compatible with the new reproduction bezels. Now is a good time to clean your stock bezel or upgrade to a new one. Maybe this is a good time to clean this one. Anyways, you'll be left with a bare bezel containing only the turn signal indicator lenses. So maybe we do remove these lenses. Actually, how do we do it? Oh, okay. So those screws right there on the back of that, we might want to remove those. Interesting. The stock indicators for the brake and high beam will not be used. 2 small block-off plates are included. These carry engraved part numbers 636108, 636109 for the brake and high beam, respectively. RTV silicone works well to secure these plates. Be sure to glue the pieces with textured side down to ensure the part numbers are not visible from the front side. 5A. Place the gauges in the bezel and orientate each gauge to ensure they are properly aligned. 5B, use provided 2-inch screws, 2-inch screws with lock washers, and mount the gauges in place. Do not fully tighten. The holes are slotted to allow minor adjustments to perfectly align each gauge. For the speedometer and the tach, use 2 provided brackets on the bottom of slots as shown, white arrows. Once aligned, finish tightening with the 12 screws and take care do not strip the threads. Okay, so it looks like we have screw, 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 screw. The cluster should be shown starting from left: fuel, miles per hour, oil, RPM, and temp, just like this. Mount the wiper switch to the ABS plastic steel with the smooth side facing you. In fact, I'm gonna go grab that as soon as I'm done reading this. The wiper switch will fit into the large crosshair, and the arm of the switch will slide through the ABS from the rear. Use providing 3/8 screws with lock washers and nuts to mount the wiper switch to the panel. Lay ABS panel over the back of the gauge cluster with the smooth side down and slip the wiper arm through the appropriate opening in the bezel. Use 7 supplied 1/2-inch black screws opposed to the 2-inch screws with lock washers to mount the panel to the back of the bezel. Okay, you know what? Okay, so before we install this, we have to install those. All right. Connect the ribbon. Okay, so before we even start connecting wires, let's just assemble this. Remove that screw, and then we're gonna mount it to the back of that.
So I ordered this Dakota Digital because it had a black with white lettering, a real OE look. It actually looks factory versus having a futuristic digital lettering. Though it's a little expensive, a little pricey, I actually am really happy with this, being able to use a lot of the original housing. A little bit later on, towards the end of this, I realized the oil pressure and the temp sensor is actually integrated within this whole kit. So not too much thinking involved. If the rest of this project goes as easy as the first third of this entire assembly, then I'll be looking pretty good.
Now, if you look at the picture, it's actually, instead of going like that, it goes like that. This appears to be the right way. Now that we have the speedo and the tach screwed in but not tight, actually just finger tight barely, we're gonna take this, I don't know what they want to call it, ABS panel, this panel, and I already have the windshield wiper switch screwed in, and we're gonna push this down and screw in the rest of the oil temp, the water temp, and the fuel. Even though we're not using 2 of those, we're just using the fuel. All right, now we have everything on, the 3 top gauges and the 2 bottom, tach and speedo. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna tighten everything up. We're not tightening it that tight anyways because we want to strip it out, but we're just gonna finish the job. It's at this point that I decided to do a plan B. So I need to start connecting these wires to one another. What I wanted to do is I wanted to remove 2 of these gauges so I can install the analog gauges over here, the 2 1/16 gauge, but I'm not going to be able to do that because it appears these need to be in close proximity to one another so they can be the Dakota Digital that they need to be. But these need to be plugged in. These have the plugs that, I mean, look, this is unplugged, so that's going to shoot oil through the dash. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reroute that underneath where the stereo should be, because I got me a gauge pod, so I'll be able to reroute that. That's coming from eBay, should be here in a few days. All right, let's redo this. Looks like they want connected, connected, connected. All right, looks like I have this installed incorrectly. Oh, shit. Okay. If I read the instructions a little better, it says that the oil goes in the middle. I got the temp in the middle, so that needs to move over to this side, and then I'll be able to connect these a little bit easier. All right, now I have these swapped, the oil pressure and the temperature swapped over. This is already connected. Let's finish the job up. we're gonna go ahead and put the screws back into the plastic bag. These right here, I'm not sure what these go to. These little washer deals. Probably gonna find out in the most inopportune time. So that'll suck. But either way, let's get them out of the way. Put them in the plastic bag so we can keep pushing on with the. Actually, the next thing we're going to be doing is installing these wires right here to the back side of the indicators. This is pretty interesting. So unboxed this or unwired it, plastic bagged it, however you want to call it. And one side it has a connector. The other side it has a click. I finally found out what these washers are for, and I'm super excited about these about these screws because we only had 2 of them, original hardware, somewhere over there, I guess. Actually, in the car. Yeah, they're screwed into the car, right on the underside, right here. So I'm glad they were able to put some new pieces. So these little washers, oh shit, go on the underside of. Look at that. Oh, it fits in there perfectly. Nice. I'm not sure if this is the nicest bezel, and we might replace it, but I'm just happy. Look at this thing. Oh shit, this thing looks nice.
And this is the point I realized. In fact, it's the last bit of plastic bag that I open, and I see it comes with a lot of temp sensor and oil gauge sensor hardware. I'm really excited because I thought there's a lot of original equipment hardware that we have to reuse, but according to this, when it comes to the oil pressure and the temp sender, it goes right into that little CPU computer unit, and it comes within the kit and makes my life super simple. So I'm a hell of a lot happier. I had that original equipment, but it's kind of a nasty unit, old. It's not integrated in well with whoever installed it last did a real piss poor job. So now this just be absolutely clean. So the part 2 of this will be me trying to figure out how to get the American Auto Wire to talk nicely to the CPU, the computer. Like I said earlier, if it goes half as easy as the assembly of this cluster unit, then the Mustang gods will have blessed me and this YouTube channel, which you should have subscribed to, liked, and be sure to watch part 2 because we're going to get super technical and you just don't want to miss it.